Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to preview the 2024 US Open men's quarterfinals. On top we have Sinner against Medvedev, Draper against Minaur, and on the bottom we have Fritz, Zverev and Dimitrov against Tiafoe. And I find the bottom half of the draw very interesting because it's a huge opportunity to make a Grand Slam final for all four of those guys. There is no roadblock of Alcaraz, Djokovic or Sinner in their way. These are winnable matches. So what could happen is because of the additional pressure, the quality of play could be poorer. Now, of course, a lot of these guys have been to a semifinal of a Grand Slam before, but only one of them, Zverev, has been to a final. And I'm not saying this is necessarily going to happen, that the quality of play is going to be poorer, but often in tennis, when you're facing a strong opponent, you play more freely and sometimes you play better. And when you have a winnable match, when you have more chances, there's additional pressure. So it's going to be super interesting for me to see the quality of play and who ends up making it through the final. My guess is that it's going to be Zverev who makes it all the way through. So let's break down each quarterfinal match, and let's start with Tiafoe against Dimitrov. Tiafoe has been playing well. He was in the semifinals a couple of years ago. He caught form in Cincinnati. He has not played well pretty much the whole year, and he started playing better in Wimbledon. Tiafoe is an extremely talented player, very versatile player, capable of making the final. But the way you get to Tiafoe was perfectly explained during the Laver Cup by Djokovic. If you remember when Nadal and Federer played doubles together, and it was Djokovic's turn to give them some coaching, and they were playing Tiafoe and Sock. They were not doing well in this match. They had lost the first set. And Djokovic said, when you're rallying with Tiafoe, just extend the rallies. So while Tiafoe is certainly capable of beating anyone on tour, he often beats himself. It's almost as if he has too many options, too many tools in his bag. And he ends up playing low percentage tennis and committing a lot of unforced errors. And it's often the shot selection that's questionable when Tiafoe is not at his best. Now, Dimitrov, on the other hand, has been a steady player for many, many years. He won the ATP World Tour Finals in 2017. To me, that's as good as winning a Grand Slam. This tournament doesn't get as much respect from the media as a Grand Slam, but it's the top 8 guys competing. And Dimitrov came out on top that year, going 5-0. In the tournament, he finished the year ranked number 3 in the world. Now, Dimitrov has been to 3 semifinals of Grand Slam tournaments, but never to a final. So this is Dimitrov's best chance because he doesn't have to face the big 3. He is 3-33 against the big 3. Dimitrov has been playing extremely well starting in Shanghai last year, where he made the semifinals, lost to Rublev. He then made the final of the Paris Masters, where he lost to Djokovic, and in 2024 Dimitrov has been extremely consistent. He started off by winning the tournament in Brisbane, and he just kept winning matches all year long. The highlights were making the semis in Rotterdam, making the finals in Miami, and the quarterfinals at the French Open. So in the match against Tiafoe, it's all going to come down to the mental game. The one that handles the pressure of the moment better will come out on top. And to me, it's about how well Tiafoe returns, because Dimitrov has been serving a lot better in the last couple of years. So if Tiafoe can return well, if he can play good defense, if he can keep the unforced error count low, Tiafoe has a great serve. He can serve very fast. He has a great chance to win this match. Now, the head-to-head between these two guys is 2-1 for Dimitrov, with Dimitrov winning the last match they played last year in Wimbledon in straight sets. Fritz against Zverev is going to be another high-pressure match. And I think that Zverev has the best chance to make it through the final on the bottom half of the draw. Why? Because Zverev has been posting big-time results this year. Very close to winning Roland Garros, won the Master Series title in Rome. Has not played at his absolute top level after reaching the French Open final, I will say that. But he did play an extremely close 3-set match with Sinner in Cincinnati, losing in the semifinal. Fritz has a great chance to make the final as well. The head-to-head between Fritz and Zverev is 6-4 for Zverev. Now, one thing that I haven't covered on my channel as far as technique is concerned is the Zverev serve and the Fritz serve. I will make videos on that in the near future, but the fact is that Zverev has improved his serve tremendously. Not only does he serve the second fastest serve on average on tour this year. He's also number 2 in aces this year. So Zverev has improved his serve tremendously. Now, just like Zverev, Fritz is another phenomenal server. He's in the top 5 in the world in various serve statistics. For example, he's number 3 this year in aces. Now, the difference in serve quality between these two guys is the following. Zverev can serve faster than Fritz. However, in my opinion, Fritz has a better second serve. In fact, Fritz is number 2 in the world, winning 59% of second serve points. And while Zverev has improved his second serve tremendously, in the past, Zverev has sometimes struggled with second serves and would decelerate on his second serve because of a lack of trust tremendously. I don't see that as much in the last few years, but Fritz does have an advantage on the second serve. So first serve percentage for Zverev is going to be huge in this match. In my opinion, Zverev has the slight advantage, while someone like Tiafoe uses the crowd to his advantage and gets motivation from the crowd. I feel that Fritz sometimes can falter under the pressure of being an American playing on home soil. All right, now let's talk about the top half. We have Minaur against Draper, and Draper is having a breakthrough season. He reached the finals in Queens, beat Alcaraz in that tournament. And I watched him play in Stuttgart prior to Queens, and I was very impressed with Draper's serve. To me, he can be one of the top servers in the world. Currently is number 8 on tour with 79.4% of first serve points won. Now, the fact that Draper is a lefty makes the serve a lot more difficult to handle for the opponent. Minaur, on the other hand, has had a phenomenal season. He's got a great chance to make the year-end championships. He's been very consistent, and my feeling is that Minaur is going to win this match. It's going to come down to Draper's serve. If Draper can keep the percentage of his first serves high, he's got a chance to win this match. If Draper misses a lot of first serves, it's going to be tough for him. Why? Because Minaur is number 1 on tour with 57.1% second serve return points won. And if Draper hits a lot of second serves, he will have to win the points from the baseline, and that's where Minaur is going to be very tough for him to beat. And if this match gets physical, if this match gets extended, that's another advantage for Minaur. So I think Minaur is going to come through this one. And finally, on the very top, we have Sinner and Medvedev, the 2 best players in the draw. This match deserves to be a final. Medvedev made the US Open final 3 times and won 1 time against Djokovic. Medvedev is an incredible player, future Hall of Famer, maybe one of the greatest tacticians that we've ever seen on the tennis court. The head-to-head between Sinner and Medvedev is 7-5 for Medvedev. Now, Medvedev had won a bunch of matches early in their matchups, and then Sinner won 5 in a row, and Medvedev won the last time they played at Wimbledon. However, when it comes to Sinner, we have to talk about what's happening off the court. And I had a feeling that this story about Sinner that was dominating the media a couple of weeks ago was going to die out, and it did. I don't really see people talking about it that much. And I've talked previously how Sinner was not on the top of his game when he knew that he tested positive. And that's exactly where he lost to Medvedev in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. The Sinner that we're seeing now, and I will talk about the match against Paul, where I thought we've seen the best Sinner that we've seen since Miami this year. We're looking at 2 different Sinners this year. The Sinner that's playing with a free mind, and the Sinner where you can tell there is something slightly off. That was the Sinner that had this thing looming over him, and he wasn't able to play freely. So what I think will happen this year is that we had a Sinner domination early this year, then we had Alcaraz taking over at the French and Wimbledon, then we had Djokovic winning the gold, and I think Sinner is going to finish out the year the way he started the year. He's going to dominate the tour because the way he played against Paul, apart from going down 2 breaks in the first set, once he turned on his game. To me, Sinner is the hardest and the cleanest ball striker on tour right now. In the past, I've talked about Rune, Alcaraz, and Sinner being the hardest ball strikers on tour, but honestly, I don't see anybody on tour hit the ball harder and cleaner than Sinner does when he's on top of his game. I saw this last year for the first time during Davis Cup, where Sinner was absolutely demolishing the ball, hitting the fastest, crispest winners that I've ever seen, and he continued playing like that in the beginning of the year, and finally he's playing like that again. And honestly, when Sinner plays like this, there's not much anyone can do. And that's including Medvedev, who played a great Aussie Open final against Sinner and was up 2-0. I remember vividly the match in Miami where Sinner won 2-1. So I'm expecting a comfortable victory for Sinner in the quarterfinals over Medvedev. When Sinner is on the top of his game, there's not much anyone can do, including the great tactician Medvedev.